Hello gardeners, I'm Lourdes at Native Plant Channel. And just as life has seasons, so do gardens. And now it's October and things are winding down in the garden, but there's still a lot of activity and it's a fantastic time to enjoy your garden. When you're out here working, you don't have to worry about the heat anymore, but there are still many insects, the butterflies, the bees, they're still buzzing around, and they need us to help them with providing plants that they can feed from. This is the time of year when so many people are turning to chrysanthemums and other things that are available at garden centers. But as native plant gardeners, you do not have to depend on things like chrysanthemums. You have our native plants that are going to look beautiful, add so much to your garden. Asters and goldenrods are going to be key plants to end your season with. Here we're looking at an aster, and there are so many different kinds that you can use in the garden, and they are one of the most important plants that you can have for pollinators because they are helpful throughout the year, not just in the fall. They are host plants for many different caterpillars. They also are suitable for growing in many different kinds of conditions. There are asters for dry soils, asters for wet soils, and even asters that you can grow with as little as 3 hours of sunlight. So if you have part shade or even very shady conditions, you can still grow asters. They grow in communities with goldenrods, and both of them are just so important to our insects and pollinators. Goldenrods are fabulous. Here you're looking at reef goldenrod, which does not spread much. It grows as a clump and feeds many of our native bees. But goldenrods are also helpful because they are host plants for caterpillars. So you will find them feeding many caterpillars as well. These photos are from when goldenrods were in full bloom a couple of weeks ago. And as with the asters, there are a number of different species of goldenrods. Although most grow in the full sun, there are some that will tolerate more shade. And there are various soil conditions that they will grow under as well. Coral honeysuckle is such a fantastic vine for the garden. It's very manageable and it produces flowers for the entire growing season, although its biggest season is in May when it is completely covered. Here you're looking at holly and you can see all the berries. Unfortunately, I am concerned about this particular holly because a tree fell on it last winter, which caused it to lose so many of its leaves. So I'm hoping that it will come back next season fully covered with its evergreen leaves. Now let's take a look at the yellow color coming from summer sweet, a lovely plant that is very fragrant during the season when it is in bloom and that attracts pollinators like crazy. Earlier in the spring, you may have watched me plant this serviceberry, a wonderful spring blooming shrub or small tree. You'll see its brilliant red fall color. It has done pretty well so far, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to it next spring to see its flowers and also to see if it will produce berries next year. So this is a tree that likes full sun and it will grow an average to wet soils. And just attracts a lot of pollinators and produces blueberry-like fruit for our birds. The white flowers here are that of Pearly Everlasting, which is the host plant for the American lady butterfly. It's wonderful. It's in bloom since July, and this plant is highly deer resistant. The needle-like leaves that you're seeing that are just starting to turn yellow are that of Hubrix Amsonia, a wonderful, tough as nails perennial that is very easy maintenance and will withstand tough drought conditions. It will just look lovely, glowing in the sun with bright yellow leaves. It's just turning and is not at its full stage yet. But it's lovely to look at, and it is also just adds such wonderful texture to the garden.
To its left, you're going to see the arching stems of a goldenrod that has finished flowering. And in the flower pot, you're seeing wild columbine. Now, columbine is usually associated with growing in shade, but it will do fine in full sun and under very dry conditions. Here, it grows in this pot that I just used to adorn the garden a little bit, and it does not receive additional water. Some garden ornaments that I recently purchased for the garden are these Moravian stars that I bought at an antique store, and were a bit rusty, and I cleaned them up and spray painted them silver, kind of giving you the illusion of, the stars up in the sky. As we work to create healthier ecosystems, gardeners and non-gardeners as well need to get used to a different aesthetic. That of leaving plants remaining standing throughout the winter, of not cleaning up the garden in the fall. And even as the plants turn brown, let them stand, because they are providing a healthy ecosystem for many insects and birds. The seeds are still feeding our birds. The plants themselves are still creating habitat for many insects. So we have to remember that the garden cannot be cleaned up until much later the next spring.
To learn more about native plants, please go to Native Plant Channel's Facebook page. There you're going to find more information.
Our native redbud is a beautiful early spring flowering tree that is very helpful to our pollinators in the spring, but also has these lovely heart-shaped leaves that turn such a golden color and looks amazing in the fall. American smoke tree, which can be grown as either a tree or a multi-stemmed shrub depending on how it's pruned, can grow to 15 to 30 foot tall. It is known for its long-lasting, beautiful fall color. The fall color does stay around for a very long time, which I quite appreciate. It's easy to grow in full sun and adaptable to different kinds of soil, as long as those soils are not wet. Clustered mountain mint is an incredible pollinator plant during the summer months. Its flowers are actually in the center of these silvery bracts. The silver is not actually the flowers. But the plant still remains attractive in the fall, even though it is no longer in bloom. Oakleaf hydrangea is an amazing low-maintenance shrub with 3 seasons of interest. In the spring, white flowers that are pollinator magnets will grace the plant beautifully. As the season continues, the leaves will turn colors, and these will be of reddish orange color that will remain for a very long time and just look lovely.
Native plant gardeners like you make all the difference in the world. One garden at a time, you are helping to create better habitat, better environments, and helping all the living things around us. So thank you for what you're doing. Please click the subscribe button so that you can be notified when new videos are posted, and stay with our native plant community. Follow us on Facebook as well.
Thanks for watching Native Plant Channel, and please check our other videos so that you can learn more about creating healthy ecosystems in your garden.